Let's bring in Fred Fleitz, former National Security Council Chief of Staff and Vice Chair at the America First Policy Institute Center. Let's take a look, first of all, where we are, because Russian forces say they're pulling back here from Kyiv back toward the Belarusian border, as they are in Chernihiv as well. There's been some advances here. Makariv has been retaken by Ukrainians, as has Irpin. Remember that horrible image of that family that was cut down by a mortar in Boromlia. They've taken it back. Trostoyanets as well. They haven't managed to get around Kharkiv. They haven't managed to get around Izium. So where are we here with this idea that Russia is saying, maybe we're not doing so well, and we're going to pull our forces back?
I think we're moving towards a different phase of the conflict, and there are other reports that Russian troops in this area, there's actually landmines in front of them between Ukrainian troops. They're not launching hopeless offensive military operations. They're not moving artillery up. I think Russia's looking towards an end game. Now, it's hard to believe that, because they make commitments that they're going to stop attacking and back off. And over the last 24 hours, we know that that's not what happened. Yeah. The shelling of Kharkiv continued, but there's a variety of signs that they're looking towards a peace settlement, but a settlement that they can best exploit.
All right. I think Sandra's going to jump in here, yeah?
Hey, Fred, it's Sandra here. Wall Street Journal is writing this, and I'll put it up on the screen for our viewers as well, saying it is now clear that Putin cannot achieve his initial objective, swiftly overthrowing Volodymyr Zelensky's government and installing a compliant regime in Kyiv. Mr. Putin is pivoting to Plan B, securing the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, as well as the coastal land bridge to Crimea. So I hear you talking about the end game. Is it clear to you, as it is to the Journal, that this is Putin's move and plan, move to Plan B?
I think so. And Donetsk and Luhansk are absolutely essential. The problem is, in Donetsk, the Russians have not made significant advances there. And if the war ends and Russia does not control most of Donetsk, it will be a huge defeat for Putin. There will probably have to be a major offensive for Putin to take control of areas of Donetsk that he does not control. Then there's this land bridge that's linking Russia to Crimea, which obviously the Russians are going to want to retain. I can't imagine that the Ukrainians would agree to that, but I imagine that they're fighting hard to try to consolidate control of this region. So as they go to the peace talks, we know what happens at the end of many wars. The territories that you control tend to be the ones where your troops ended up, and the territory that you controlled solidly. So I think that's what's going on here right now.
Right. You know, let's take a closer look at Mariupol, because this city has just been blasted into dust. But there's a very significant corridor through here, and that's this highway that comes down in through here. This is the M14 highway. It goes from the biggest city in Western Russia, Rostov-on-Don, all the way down to the Crimean Peninsula. Can you see a scenario where they've pounded this thing to the ground? They're going to leave it that way so that they can keep this corridor open to the Crimean Peninsula, and maybe not even build back Mariupol, or if they do, build it back very slowly after they're certain that they can maintain control of it.
I think they'll build it back, but Mariupol is a key port on the Sea of Azov, which is part of the land bridge.
Some of the ports down.
And this is something that Russia would have to take to establish this connection to Crimea and Russia, and they decided to do this by just relentlessly pounding this town. But it is crucial to their plan to keep the land bridge, but the Ukrainians have not given up in Mariupol.